Hello and welcome back. Welcome to video number 6 in the Nourish Your Nervous System series. I am Lindsey Lockett. I will be your host and guide throughout this Nourish Your Nervous System journey. I'm also a trauma educator and coach. I am the host of the Holistic Trauma Healing Podcast. And as a practitioner, I specialize in complex PTSD. This Nourish Your Nervous System series of videos is based off of my brand new book, Nourish Your Nervous System, which you can find at the link below, or go to lindseylockett.com/nourish. If you've missed the first 5 videos in the series, they do go together as a cohesive unit where one builds on top of the next and on top of the next. So I encourage you to hit pause on this video, go back to video number 1, start at the beginning, and then come back to this video as you work your way through. In this particular video, I'm going to be talking about nourishing your nervous system from the physical body perspective. So in subsequent videos, I'm going to be talking about nourishing your nervous system for things like ancestry and emotions and mental nourishment and more. But for this specific video, we're going to be focusing on physical nourishment of the body. And physical nourishment of the body starts with meeting basic needs. Basic needs. It's not sexy, it's not shiny, but it is the foundation. And it's a foundation because trauma work itself is a stressor. And we really have to be resourced within ourselves in order to do this work, in order to repattern our adaptive survival patterns, in order to release stored trauma energy and integrate all of these fragmented parts of ourselves back into ourselves. It requires physical resources. And I want to spend this video talking about basic needs. Again, I know it's not sexy, I know it's not shiny, but you would be shocked at how many people come to work with me. And when I get into an in-depth conversation with them, I find out that some of their basic needs aren't met. And that's when we have to hit the brakes and I have to go, okay, let's get some of these basic needs established and met consistently. See what kind of natural shifts that creates in your nervous system. And then we can proceed with nervous system tools, trauma healing work, integration, awareness practice, and more. So I'm going to talk about basic needs in this video. So your first basic need, non-negotiable, is safety. You need to be physically and emotionally safe. You need to be in a physically, emotionally, and verbally safe relationship if you're living with someone full-time. You need to have physical safety, meaning that you have access to steady housing and steady income, and that you're not couch surfing or homeless or in a bunch of debt and unable to pay for food, electricity, gas for your car, rent, etc. If you're not eating enough food, we're going to talk about that a lot more later, then you're not sending signals of safety to your body. So your first and foremost basic need is safety. Safety, safety, safety in as many aspects of your life as possible. If your basic needs for safety are not met, meaning you don't have adequate housing or your housing is threatened, you aren't able to afford food, you're not eating enough food, if you're in a verbally, emotionally, and or physically abusive relationship or job, then you're not safe. Your basic need for safety is not established. And I'm so sorry, but unfortunately, this video series and really any of my work is not going to be as beneficial to you as it could be if your basic need for safety was met. Now, we all go through tough times. If you're going through a tough time right now, financially, relationally, with your home, or anything else, I see you. I totally see you. And you are not bad or wrong for going through a hard time. Your needs for safety are still valid, even if you're not able to meet those needs at this time. But I want to encourage you to not focus on trauma healing and nervous system tools and all of these different things, and to really put all of your energy and focus into meeting your basic need for safety. Your second basic need is food, and probably more than you think. Food, I know, is such a tricky topic because if we start telling people things like, yeah, food is a basic safety need, a lot of times what people hear is that they need to eat in order to feel safe, which is a lot of what people who have eating disorders do. They eat in order to feel safe, and eating becomes the means by which they comfort and soothe themselves. Now, I am not an eating disorder expert, but what I will say is that you are not bad or wrong if food makes you feel better. I don't think that we can put a blanket statement over every person who eats food and then feels better by saying that they have an eating disorder. You do not have an eating disorder just because food makes you feel better. I mean, think about being hangry, right? You're hungry and you're angry. You're irritable. You've got a short fuse. You're yelling at people. You're anxious. All because of what? Because you're hungry. And your nervous system is mobilizing all of this energy in order to get you to get to food as fast as you possibly can because your blood sugar is low and you need food. Is that an eating disorder? No, that is meeting a physiological need for food. So food is absolutely a nervous system regulating tool, not because you're using food to make yourself feel better, but because food is part of the foundation of safety. If you are not eating enough food, if you are restricting your diet because you're trying to lose weight or because you're not able to eat certain food groups or because you're trying to heal or whatever, that restriction creates stress in your nervous system. Your nervous system doesn't know how to perceive your restriction of food as an effort that you're making for your health or an effort you're making for your weight loss. Your nervous system only perceives that restriction of food and under eating as another survival stressor. To your nervous system, you might as well be in a famine or a drought or starving to death because that's how it is perceived in your body. So food, and probably more than you think. How are we supposed to be nourished if we claim that eating food when we're dysregulated equals binge eating disorder? How? It doesn't make any sense. Demonizing food is what perpetuates disordered eating. No one says, yeah, I'm not interested in personal growth or trauma healing because I have snacks and that's all I need. Literally, no one is saying that. And even if someone does choose to use food, alcohol, weed, or other substances to cope, we are not going to make progress in the collective by pathologizing and demonizing people's coping skills. So I trust you as a sovereign, autonomous adult to be capable of making your own choices. And you have self-awareness. You have the ability to have self-awareness. No one on the internet, including me, knows you better than you know yourself. Just like no one on the internet knows me better than I know myself, especially whenever we have awareness. Through the natural process of self-awareness, we can come to our own sovereign decisions about our use of food, alcohol, weed, or other substances as coping skills or whatever they are. And even if we conclude that maybe we do have some disordered eating patterns, maybe we do have some substance abuse issues, maybe we do have some addictive tendencies, even if we come to that conclusion through our own natural curious process and awareness, we deserve compassion and resources, not shame, because no real or lasting change comes from a place of shame. It's okay to acknowledge that you might need more soothing tools in addition to food, weed, alcohol, or other substances. In addition to is the key phrase in that statement, not instead of, in addition to. You can trust yourself to listen to your body and what you need in each moment. And in some moments, you might just need some freaking food, and that's not a disorder. And as you learn to listen to your body and unburden your nervous system, you may naturally drop some of those coping skills like alcohol or weed or eating your feelings or whatever. Those may naturally fall away as you're listening to your body and unburdening your nervous system and meeting your basic needs. Furthermore, if you are in a state of chronic nervous system dysregulation, you likely do need to eat more food. And this is because being in a chronic state of stress and chronic survival mode, we are burning through calories, nutrients, and minerals faster than we would be if we weren't in a chronic state of stress. So you have to keep replenishing those nutrients, minerals, vitamins, and calories in order to keep your strength up and be well-resourced within yourself. If you want to know more about how to nourish your nervous system specifically through food, you can check out my book, Nourish Your Nervous System, at lindseylockett.com/nourish. There's an entire chapter on nourishing your nervous system using food. And I'll give you a hint. If you are nourishing your metabolism, you are nourishing your nervous system. All right, let's go to basic need number 3, and that is sleep. I hope you're prioritizing your sleep. Sleep has been a lifelong challenge for me. I have had insomnia for most of my life, beginning in childhood. Today, I have mostly good sleep with flares of insomnia every once in a while. And every once in a while, I do choose to use a medication to help me through those flares. And I have no shame and no judgment about that for myself. But whether you use medication for sleep or not, if you have consistent issues going to sleep or staying asleep or getting enough sleep, then I want you to listen to this portion of the video. So, basic sleep hygiene is worth talking about, especially if you're not aware of it. So I will talk about basic sleep hygiene. However, the caveat to that is that I have done all the sleep hygiene things recommended on the internet for months at a time and still not gotten the sleep I need. It's like my body and my nervous system, when it comes to the basic sleep hygiene recommendations, are like, that's cute, but we need a lot more than that. That's how my body and my nervous system are. Maybe it is for you too. But let's start with basic sleep hygiene. These are things that are widely recommended all across the internet and in doctors' offices everywhere. I won't spend too much time on them because they are very basic. But here's where to start if your need for sleep is not met. So first is keeping your sleeping space cool. The ideal sleeping temperature is between 60 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Any warmer than that, and you're not supporting your body's natural cooling process throughout the night, because as you get sleepy and you go to bed, your body temperature drops. When you sleep in a cool room, you support your body temperature dropping and you sleep more soundly. To go along with this, I also recommend keeping airflow going so that you are supported in your body's natural cooling. So you can do that by choosing bedding and pajamas, if you wear them, that are made from natural fibers like cotton, linen, wool, silk, or goose down. All of those materials are going to be really supportive to airflow and circulation so that you're not overheating while you're sleeping. If you're using sheets and bedding made of polyester, satin, and microfiber, you're probably overheating. You probably are waking up sweating, would be my guess, because that's what happens if I stay in an Airbnb with polyester bedding. It's awful. Second tip for sleep hygiene is no blue light before bed. I'm going to link some blue light blockers that I use below in this video. I love these blue light blockers because they are actually very orange and they have shields across the top, the sides, and the bottom. So they're really keeping out a lot of blue light. Why is blue light a problem? Because if we're on computers, TV screens, phone screens until right before we're going to sleep, we are interfering with our body's natural elevation of the hormone melatonin, which is the hormone that says, hey, you're sleepy, it's time to go to sleep. You're interfering with your body's production of that hormone whenever your eyes are exposed to blue light after the sun goes down. So after 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., I really encourage you, if you can't get totally off of screens, to use some blue light blockers. You can also use an app called F.lux. I will link to that below. You can put that on your laptop, your tablet, your phone. It will automatically eliminate blue light from your screen after whatever hour you choose. And if you need lighting after sunset, use cozy ambient things like lamps, infrared lights, salt lamps, and candles. Those things will signal to your body, hey, it's late, it's time to go to sleep. Next is to avoid alcohol, caffeine, and large meals before bed. If you're especially sensitive to caffeine, you may want to avoid it altogether or try avoiding it altogether if you never have. But generally, avoiding caffeine after noon is pretty standard. Also, alcohol really interferes with your sleep. Even if you think you're sleeping really well, alcohol interferes with your digestion, your brain chemistry, your hormone production. It elevates cortisol in your body, and it really messes with your blood sugar. And a lot of the reasons why people don't sleep well through the night is because of imbalanced blood sugar. And finally, I think it goes without saying, but your digestive system is supposed to power down and rest, just like the rest of you at bedtime. So eating big snacks, heavy foods, or meals right before you go to sleep is not supportive of your digestion going into a restful mode. Next, create a relaxing bedtime routine. This for you might be some yoga nidra or yin yoga. It could be a meditation practice. It could be a slow house tidying practice before you go to bed, a Epsom salt bath with candles and music, whatever starts to send those signals of sleepy time and relaxation to your body. Begin to incorporate that because your body loves rhythm. Next, make your bedroom dark. I really recommend light blocking curtains or shades, especially if you live in a city where there's a lot of light pollution. So that would be lights from sources like traffic, street lights, traffic lights, apartment building, outdoor lighting, things like that really can make it difficult for you to feel like you're in a totally sleep-inducing environment. So I totally recommend light blocking curtains if you can find them. And some other sleep hygiene tips are to exercise earlier in the day, not in the evening. If you're exercising in the evening, that also can ramp up cortisol and adrenaline, making it difficult for you to fall asleep. Removing electronics from your bedroom if possible, unplugging your Wi-Fi. If you can't remove your phone from your bedroom, then at least turn it into airplane mode. All of these things are going to ensure that your body's not exposed to electromagnetic frequencies throughout the night. I'm a big fan of white noise. If you have trouble sleeping, white noise can be great. A white box fan, in my opinion, is the best source of white noise. I don't like sound machines because I can detect when the sound loops and then that keeps me awake. I also really like green noise that I have on Spotify. I've downloaded it to my phone, but that is a great way for me to shut out, any noise from crickets, people who are awake in my house, traffic sounds, all that kind of stuff. I can shut it all out with white noise. And then finally, getting rid of your clock. I know this may seem crazy. I haven't slept with a clock in my bedroom in over a decade. Best decision ever. Not only is the light disturbing, but if you're staring at the clock all night and you're stressing out over the number of hours of sleep that you're missing out on, that's not doing you any favors. You're just staying stressed out throughout the night. And so I have found that just not having a clock in the bedroom at all totally eliminates that. Now, when we are seriously dysregulated or we're going through big bouts of insomnia, we need more support. So I'm going to pull out what I call the big guns. This goes way beyond sleep hygiene. Okay. This is way beyond anything that you're going to read about or watch on the internet, because all of these things I have had to figure out for myself. So if you need some extra sleepy time nourishment, this is going to work for you. Hopefully. Even now, if I have a flare up of insomnia, I return to these practices and tips that I'm about to share you, because with consistency over time, they do end up helping me restore my sleep. So my first big gun is no phone, no lights, period. I maintain a very strict no phone, no lights boundary with myself when I'm going through a bout of insomnia. Even if I'm not sleeping, I behave as if I am, and I keep my body in as much of a sleep-like state as possible. Whether I'm having trouble falling back to sleep, falling asleep, or I keep waking up, I do not turn on any lights. I do not get on my phone, period, no matter what. Scrolling during bouts of insomnia is very common for people, but it does not support your body nor set you up to actually fall back to sleep. The way you can set yourself up to fall back to sleep is by introducing as little stimulation as possible. Lay with your eyes closed, meditate, breathe, do something like progressive muscle relaxation. These are far more nourishing and are more likely to end up with you sleeping than you turning on lights, reading a book, getting on your phone. I'm also a really big fan of box breathing, especially if you wake up with anxiety. When you box breathe, you actually have to count breaths. And when you count breaths, you give your mind something to do rather than it just running away on the train of anxious thinking that it might be on. So the way that you box breathe is by inhaling for a count of 5, holding that breath for a count of 5, and exhaling for a count of 5, pausing for a count of 5, and then repeating like that. Having something for your mind to do is great if you're an overthinker or if you wake up with anxiety. It gives your mind something to focus on, and it gives your mind a job. And I have done box breathing for literal hours where I'm just laying in bed going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I even picture the box in my head, but I have done that for hours. And it actually has kept me really calm because then my mind isn't getting carried away on the anxiety train. Another one that I want to recommend as a big gun is progressive muscle relaxation. People with chronic nervous system dysregulation kind of live in a constant tense state in their bodies, even if we don't realize it. The most common way to do progressive muscle relaxation is to start at your feet, tighten your toes as much as possible, and then release. And then repeat with your calves. Tighten them as much as possible, release. And then your thighs, tighten them as much as possible, and then release. And go all the way through your body until you've tightened and released all of your muscle groups. The way I do progressive muscle relaxation is slightly different, and that's because I have chronic pain. So I can always locate the area of tension in my body without going through my entire body. So what I do is place all of my attention on this area of my body. And I kind of mentally take a journey into that part of my body to find and focus on the pain and tension while consciously relaxing those muscles as much as I can. Whichever way you choose to do it, this is a really valuable way to connect with your body, and it's quite relaxing. And if you're not sleeping, you can do this and still be resting. The next big gun for getting your shut eye back is to lay on your stomach. Now, I'm not a stomach sleeper, but when I have trouble falling asleep, I will flip over onto my stomach and lay there. I don't know the science behind this. I don't know if it's because it feels to my front body like a weighted blanket because all of my body weight is on myself. But for some reason, laying on my stomach relaxes me enough to get me to sleep. And I must be in a sleep state when I roll back over because I never remember rolling over, but I always wake up on my back because I'm naturally a back sleeper. So I don't personally like weighted blankets. I don't like the way they weigh my ankles down. I find that kind of helps me, like makes me have more ankle tension. But laying on my stomach with my feet hanging off the mattress works for me. I can also recommend some herbs for sleep. So things like valerian root, passion flower, chamomile, and lemon balm are not really helpful for me, but if you've never tried herbs before, you can start with these. I would advise that you start with them as a tea, and then if you need something stronger, you could graduate to an infusion or a tincture of those things. I also really, really love, now this is something I have used, I really, really love the Chill Out tincture from my friend Andy at Smoke and Forage. It is a combination of skullcap and kava root in a tincture, and you can take a few drops to a couple of droppers full before bedtime to assist you with getting some sleep. And I will link to that Chill Out tincture below in the show notes of this video. And you can use the coupon code Lindsey15 for 15% off your order if you choose to try the Chill Out tincture or any other of Smoke and Forage's medicines. Now, we've covered our first three basic needs: safety, food, and enough of it, and sleep. And now we're going to go to our fourth basic need, which is a clean environment. When I say clean, I mean both tidy and free of toxins. Entire books have been written on the harm caused by environmental toxins, so I'm not going to go into that in this video. You can definitely Google that. But let's just say that the toxins in laundry detergents, clothing, bedding, mattresses, scented candles, air fresheners, and other things that we have in our homes burden our bodies. These toxins mess with our hormones, our air quality, our detox pathways, and more. So if you haven't gotten the memo yet, please reduce your home's toxic load as much as possible. And if you want to know exactly how you can do that, I have ways to reduce your home's toxic load in my book, Nourish Your Nervous System, which you can check out at the link below. Also, when it comes to having a clean, tidy environment with not just toxins, but also our feeling of our external environments, it is vital to create safety and peace within our bodies and our internal environments just as much as it is to create safety and peace in our external environments. As a child, we deserve to be held in safe spaces that were peaceful and not chaotic. And if we didn't have that, then we missed some fundamental human needs. As an adult, we owe it to ourselves. We deserve to create spaces where we feel held, safe, and peaceful so that we can reclaim those needs for ourselves. Clutter is stressful. A cluttered, chaotic environment equals a disorganized, chaotic mind, body, and soul. And you can relieve some of your nervous system's burden by clearing out and cleaning up your space. You don't have to go to the container store and buy hundreds of dollars worth of organizing containers. It costs $0 to fold and put away your laundry, to organize a drawer, clean out a closet, deep clean your sink, wash the dishes. $0 to organize your shelves, right? You don't have to go spend a bunch of money to organize, decorate, and clean your home. When your nervous system is especially overwhelmed, I get it if menial tasks like folding laundry and washing the dishes feels really big and impossible. My favorite phrase for this feeling of like even simple things feeling impossible because my body feels heavy or my mind feels crazy or I've got brain fog or whatever is that my brain and body feels like a herd of turtles trying to stampede through peanut butter. And yet, even though it might be difficult, even though it might feel like a herd of turtles trying to stampede through peanut butter, you still deserve to feel safe and held in a peaceful space in your home environment. So you can reclaim yourself from chaos by clearing up your home space. And these acts of environmental care are acts of self-care and nourishment because our spaces are supposed to feel spacious, even if they're small. And we all deserve to feel nourished by our homes. Basic need number 5 is time spaciousness. Time spaciousness is not a luxury or a privilege. You need time outside, time in nature, time to play, to rest, to do absolutely nothing, time to go on explorations and adventures, and time to nourish yourself. There are only 24 hours in a day, and hopefully 8 to 10 of those are for sleep. So for the rest of the hours in your day, especially if you're low on going outside or having time for play or pleasure, you're going to have to create and build in time for those things. This may mean that you have to make some difficult choices to have less of a social life or work less or change jobs or spend less time with stressful family, go to bed earlier, wake up earlier, and get into a rhythm so that self-care, movement, nature, and relaxing activities are priorities in your schedule. And basic need number 6 is time in nature. Everyone needs time in nature. We are animals. And I know that so many of us have so much resistance to nature. Like we have this belief about ourselves that we're not outdoorsy or that we work too much and we don't have time to enjoy nature or we don't have a yard. So that's why we can't enjoy nature. There's all kinds of excuses that we come up with to not be outside. I too resisted being outdoors before my family and I moved to northeastern Minnesota 9 years ago. I will fully admit that the forest wilderness of my current home in Minnesota is so much more preferable to the hot, dry, windy days of my former home in Texas. I honestly don't know how people in some climates get any time outdoors because I find environments like the desert, the plains, and metropolitan areas to be intolerable when it comes to being outside. But I know that you might be different. Moving to Minnesota was an intentional choice that we made. It's one of those big choices that I was talking about earlier, a drastic choice that you might have to make in order to create the life that feels nourishing for you. One of our reasons to relocate from Texas to Minnesota was because we desired more time outdoors in wild spaces. And between the heat, the rattlesnakes, and the wind, none of us ever wanted to be outside whenever we lived in Texas. And now we spend so much more time outdoors. Regardless of where you live, I encourage you to make time for nature. You are an animal. It is a basic need for you to be in nature. You can hike, bike, ski, canoe, all of that, but just laying on a blanket in the grass in your yard in the sun totally counts as nature time. If you don't have a yard, it's also totally fine to sit out on your apartment balcony with some plants. Put a bird feeder out there and watch the birds or watch a squirrel dig in your trash. Just find some ways to be outside. We are like temperamental plants. We need lots of sunshine, fresh air, clean water, and emotional support. There are too many scientific studies to count that prove the mental, emotional, and physical advantages of spending time in nature. After all, we are animals. So our 6 basic needs, this is where you've got to start before you embark on any program or coaching work or working with a therapist or any of that. Where we have to start is meeting our basic needs. They are the foundation for all of this nervous system healing work that we do. They're so important to the nourishment of our nervous system. So again, those basic needs are safety, relational, physical, safety in your home, financial safety, safety. Number one need. Number two is food, and probably more than you think. Number three is sleep and enough sleep. Your sleep needs to be prioritized. Number four is a clean environment, both free from toxins and free from clutter if possible. Number five is time spaciousness, really carving out time for rest, play, pleasure, relaxation, sleep, nature. And number six basic need is time in nature every single day. So start with those six basic needs. And if you want to learn more about physically nourishing your body, including through diet, you can check out my book, Nourish Your Nervous System. The link is below, or you can go to my website, lindseylockett.com/nourish. I'll see you in the next video number 7, which is all about spiritual nourishment. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.